Hey guys, welcome to episode 37 of my Brain Dump podcast. I have a special guest today, Tyler, um, who goes by Margot Grace on Twitter. I guess we just connected over Twitter like a few years ago, I think, like a few years ago. Yeah, and then we've just sort of like had like a small like correspondence, I guess, like throughout the years. And I I really wanted to expand the podcast and just have different people on, like maybe some people that I don't know as well, because most of the people that I've known on it have been like my friends, like in real life. I think almost everyone I've everyone I've had on it, I've met in real life. You're like the first person
Yeah,
who
we're
I haven't met in real
practically strangers.
life. Yeah. But since you listen to a lot of it, it's like me to a certain extent.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Twitter's pretty honest, I feel like, for a social media platform.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So tell me, yeah, I guess like tell me a bit about like your life, um, just as far as you want to go. Like, what are you doing, and like where are you
yeah.
from? Like, what did you study?
Yeah, I've
What's
studied
like
a
your
lot.
life path?
Yeah, so I'm Tyler. I'm living in Denver. I'm from the Denver area. Um, I have lived here for almost all of my life. Um, I've spent a lot of my life in fashion consignment.
Hmm.
But a couple years ago, I really wanted to make a change out of that. So I moved to Oakland, and I tried to kind of like go off on my own and just kind of
Okay.
prove to myself that I could kind of like have a life outside of like the foothills in Denver, um, because I just felt like I needed to shake it up. And I ended up, I'm sure you know how saturated the market is in the Bay.
hmm
And the only jobs I could find were also in fashion consignment because they were like, oh, you have experience in that.
Yeah.
um, so I ended up getting a job doing that, and it was great. Like I've never really had like a bad job, but it was just really like a lot of the same. And
hmm
through a series of like kind of weird, unfortunate events, I, really started to miss home and the stability of home. And I've always felt like really tied to the mountains and like the land
hmm
here. Um, and I always wanted to teach. So I,
Okay.
on a whim, like started looking for like teaching positions, tutoring positions, anything, anywhere. And so for this is my third year doing literacy tutoring. And it
hmm
is the best thing I've ever done. It is like my
Oh
life's
wow.
passion.
Okay.
I started doing it and I was like, wow, I've never felt like so fulfilled when I've come home from work ever. And I was like, this is what people are talking about. Like, this is like people like say like they love their careers and this is what they mean.
That's really
um,
cool.
yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. I do like a lot of other stuff. I studied anthropology in school. Um, I'm really passionate about permaculture and sustainability. So I do a lot of
hmm
that. This week, we're getting like a frost in Denver. So tonight, I like
Okay.
pulled out all my spaghetti squash and all my kale. And I was like, I'm not even gonna mess around with trying to cover anything up. We're just gonna let it all die. um,
Oh, okay. Because that
yeah.
happened. Can you explain that really quick? Because I'm not sure I understand exactly. Like,
Yeah. So I guess permaculture and sustainability like kind of like are even interwoven together. Um, and it kind of looks at systems and how we are like a part of systems. And permaculture stands for like permanent agriculture, but it can be
Okay.
used at any level. So people use permaculture systems to organize businesses or communities or things like that. So it's kind of like more of a design framework.
Hmm.
Um, but I've been getting into it a lot recently, and there's a lot of like kind of nerdy gardening people that get into it. Um,
Okay, so it's like a community.
yeah, it's definitely like community. It's been going on since I don't even know, like the 70s, maybe. That
Hmm.
might be pushing it. I'm not sure. I'm not the expert in it. I'm just learning. I'm a
Okay.
newbie. But yeah, so when you're gardening and whatever, especially in Colorado, we get like if it freezes and usually it goes below zero, it's kind of early for it to freeze. This year it's only the 11th, but usually we have like freezes in October
Hmm.
around this time. And if it freezes, a lot of your plants can get damaged or destroyed. So I went out and like
Oh, I
harvested
see.
everything tonight.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. So you brought them
Yeah.
like inside.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Wow.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's cool. I've never grown my own food. I know like my dad's house, like when I used to live with him, like he had like tomatoes and like different things outside that we would like use, and that was cool. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I always respect people who like grow food because like it's just such a good thing that I feel like everyone should do, I guess. Like,
Yeah. I think so
yeah, I don't
too.
know. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
even
don't
if
have
you're
like an
just growing
area.
tomatoes.
Yeah, like I don't have a good area for that where I live. So maybe if I lived somewhere else, I might try it.
Yeah.
But
Are you
yeah,
in San Francisco proper? Or no, you're in LA now, right?
I'm
You
in
moved to
LA
LA.
now. I used to
That's
live in
right.
San Francisco. Yeah. Yeah, I lived in
Wow,
San
that's
Francisco from
crazy.
like, yeah, I lived in SF from like 2017 to like 2020. Yeah.
Do you like LA?
Yeah, I like it. I moved here during like the lockdown, so there was like nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I live in a house with like five people, including myself. So it's like it's a lot sometimes, but it's good. I mean, I feel my mental health has improved a lot
That's
since
good.
I've moved here. And I've always wanted to live here, but
Yeah.
I was sort of waiting for the right time. Because I
Yeah.
was into
What?
acting and
Yeah.
I wanted to be an actor, but like since the pandemic happened, like everything shut down. So I've just been doing like some stuff, like this web series with my friends, and like I'm not really doing acting. I'm just like sort of working right now.
Yeah.
And I do like music in my free time too.
Yeah, I've
So
heard your music. I know that, and I know you act, so that's
yeah,
awesome. But yeah, I could imagine
yeah.
it being really hard right now, even
Mhm.
with kind of coming out of that intense lockdown we were in.
Yeah, there's like more. It's picking up now. There's a lot more like job, like acting stuff, and just like productions going. I have like I have like a full-time job, so it's hard for me to like go to auditions and stuff like that. So I usually spend my free time doing music because it's like I could do whatever I want. So that's just sort of like where I put my time
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that too. Like I like to have all these projects going, but if I'm like working, it just eats up so much of your time. And
Mhm.
I felt that way when I was living in Oakland. Like I had this great job. I was working at the Real Real. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're
Yeah,
like
I used to work
luxury.
there.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, I used to work there. Yeah.
friends. So I also used to work there.
Did you work at
Um,
like the like one of the warehouses or
yeah, I worked in
oh
Brisbane.
okay.
Yeah, did you work
Yeah,
retail?
I worked both. It was like weird. They kept on moving me. I was in inventory operations like at the San Francisco store. But
Oh,
then like
nice.
there were times when I was at like the headquarters and there were other times where I was at the I think I was at, is Brisbane the one where it's like south of Daly City? Is that
Yeah,
Brisbane?
it's South San Francisco.
Or
I don't know if it's South Down City.
yeah, it's like South San Francisco. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
like
you go
the
south from
very
the
the
city.
last stop before you leave San Francisco, and then you
Yeah,
like
I
go a little
worked
bit more
there.
south.
Yeah. I worked there
Yeah.
like occasionally and like that's where they trained us and everything. So I was there. Like I was there.
What if we were there at the same time?
That's so
Yeah,
funny. Wow.
yeah. So I
That's
worked.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's a huge company, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I was working there and I was commuting from Oakland, and it was an hour and a half one way because I didn't
That
have a
is
car.
far. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like 3 hours of my day was commute. And then I was working
Mm,
like 50, 60 hours a week, you know,
okay.
like with
Yeah.
overtime and just the way the schedule would work. Like I would just be there a little bit later to like finish stuff up or like whatever. And
Mhm.
I just like remember thinking like, is this what my life is like going to be? Like all of this time
Yeah.
eaten up, like standing on the BART.
Yeah, it's like
um,
loud. Like it's like the loud screeching.
or just like, I mean, I even listen to like audio books all the
Yeah.
time. And that was great. But I was like, what can I do with just like listening, just standing and listening to someone
Mm,
else,
yeah,
like
like you're
what,
limited.
yeah, like what am I creating anything? Like, am I really like investing my free time into something I really am passionate about? Like, not
Mhm.
really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so crazy. I didn't know you were also a San Franciscoan and like riding BART and
I
like
was
working
only
at the
there
Real
for a
World.
whole, like one single year from like
Oh, okay.
August to August. So I spent like, I mean, I loved it there. It was amazing. It was just so expensive to live
Yeah,
there.
it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went mainly for college. Like I went to SF State, and that's like the reason why I moved there. And then I just ended up staying there like a year longer.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think I would have lived there if I didn't go to college. But I'm like glad it's always fun. Like I liked going out and stuff. It was like a cool
Yeah.
city,
Yeah.
and I met a lot of
Honestly.
friends that I still talk to. Like so, it's good. Yeah,
Yeah. Honestly, it was
yeah.
like the best experience ever. I love that city so much. There's always somewhere to go, something to do, people to meet. I never thought I could live in a city, and I was like, oh, this place though is
Yeah,
amazing.
it's nice. Like it's almost like an East Coast city, but it's like on the West Coast.
Yeah, it felt like I like Oakland felt like home, and then like San Francisco felt like going to Europe on the weekends. Like it
Oh,
felt
I see.
so like bougie and like
That's
metropolitan and like
cool.
yeah, it
I
was really
never thought
nice.
of it that way. Like from that Oakland perspective. Like that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I
Where
grew
like
up in
where do
like
you live?
where do I live
Oh, I
now?
was just gonna ask. Yeah, like where do you live now? Like is it a city or is it like
No, I live in
not
like
a
the
city?
suburbs. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't get paid very much at all.
Hmm.
Here I get paid way less. So I'm living with my dad in the suburbs right now, which is
Hmm.
actually really nice and was weirdly perfect for before the pandemic. Like I came home and I was like, oh, I'll just land here for a couple of months while I'm like settling into this new job. And then the pandemic hit. And I was like, oh, I'm I'm gonna stay here. I don't have to pay rent.
Yeah, it's like
um,
convenient.
yeah, and I'm 5 minutes
Yeah.
away from the school that I work at, so I can like
Oh, that's
drive
nice.
there in 5 minutes, or I can walk. Um, have you ever been to Colorado before?
I've driven through a couple of times,
But you've
but
never hung out.
I've never like actually been there as in like in a as like an adult. Like
That's
I've
okay.
like driven through on road trips as like a kid.
I highly recommend it. You should definitely come check it out. But it's very different. I don't know if you kind of used to that city vibe. Like here, there's like public transit is pretty minimal and pretty spread out. Like you have to have a car to get everywhere.
Hmm.
It's like the hiking and the scenery and the mountains are beautiful and the people are pretty cool. If I do say so myself. Um, but yeah, it's just like a very different scene. Like even Denver as a city is kind of more of a commuter city.
Hmm.
So it's pretty dead on the weekends even, and like goes to
Hmm.
bed at like 10 p.m. during the weeknights. You can kind of like drive around, it's pretty empty
Yeah.
around there. It's growing, but it's pretty.
Yeah, I heard there was like a swath of people who were moving there because they started working remotely or something. Like people started leaving California and like New York and like moving there.
Yes, it's very popular.
Yeah.
It's a transplant state for sure. We have lots of
Okay.
like people get really passive aggressive about it, and like, but I think it's great. People can move
Wait,
here. That's great.
what do you mean? Like how did they get like passive aggressive about
People are
it?
like, oh, it's another person from LA, or like someone's like smoking, and they're like,
Oh,
they're
I
probably from
see.
New York, or like,
Yeah.
and people are like, but I am a native Coloradan, and I'm like, okay, good
Like
for
they're
you.
like planting their flag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think like in New York, like my friend Kyle like moved here from New York and I was like, how did you like New York? And he's like, I hated it. Because of like the rat. Like I guess like he's like there were too many like rats.
I really love New York. My cousin lived in New York, and I went to visit her a couple of times growing up. And I thought I
Mhm.
wanted to go to school in New York when I went to college.
Oh, okay.
Thought I wanted to do
Yeah.
fashion design, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go to NYU. I'm gonna go to Pratt. I'm gonna go to RISD." I did not do any of
Yeah.
those.
Mhm.
But I went and visited New York a lot, and I really love it there too. I just never thought I could be a city person, and then
And
I guess
then
I've changed my mind.
yeah, was it like because of the pandemic? Is that why you moved? Or did you move like before that?
To San
Like did you move
Francisco.
back? I mean, did you move like back before the pandemic?
I did move back
Or
before the pandemic, which
okay.
was like creepy. It was so weird. I moved back, and I was with a pretty serious boyfriend at the time, and
Mhm.
I I just really felt like I was like, the market's really saturated here. Like I would have to get a car if I was really gonna like change my like time situation. And I hate
Yeah.
driving. Hate it. I'm really not great. I'm an okay driver sometimes. um but
I feel
there's
that.
just all these reasons I wanted to leave and come back to Colorado.
Mhm.
So it was like kind of a big to do though, because like, we had to like consider doing long distance and all this stuff. And uh, but I came back right, like probably I think like 6-ish months before the pandemic. And
Mhm.
in that New Year's, I went over to my best friend's place and we were reading tarot cards, and we both got this this like tower card, which is essentially kind of just like big upheaval and like
Oh wow.
destruction. And we were both like, I don't like that. Like, what's that
Yeah, like
about?
the death card, like the
Yeah, it's
tower card. Yeah.
well, like, and the tower is interesting because it's all about like kind of like structures being destroyed, like social
Mhm.
society being just like uprooted because it's not stable. And then like
Okay.
the pandemic happened and everything that came with it happened.
Mhm.
And it was a mess. And we both were like, do you think like, do you think that's what this meant? And ever since it's been
Yeah.
like, 2 years of this, that's just been like, oh, can it stop now, please? Like no more. enough of the abuse.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Do you guys have to wear masks, or are you guys like not wearing masks? Or...
Oh yes, we at my school anyway. It's not required I think at every school. I think at the elementary level it might be. But at my school,
Mhm.
you're required to be vaccinated. You're required to wear masks. Um, Out in public, it's very optional right now. A friend of mine works at a middle school
Okay.
in Parker, which is like farther south from Denver. And I think only the up to sixth grade has to wear masks. And then after sixth grade, it's optional. I think that's what she said.
Oh, I wonder why. Why is it like an age thing?
I think it's more of a county thing. Like the county made these rules. Um, I don't really know what the age thing is about. It makes less sense even, but I can't even get into the politics of it all because it's so exhausting. It's like, I don't know. I got COVID in November of last year.
Mhm.
And I was sick
Oh
for a
shit.
really long, yeah, I was sick for a really long time. And then I have long-term COVID symptoms from it. So I've lost
Oh
my
my
sense of
God,
smell and
that's
my sense of taste are all
crazy.
distorted. It's all effed up. um, and like I have like kind of random symptoms that come and go, like shortness of breath or like mucus in my lungs or
Hmm.
like heart palpitations and things like that have just felt like they've aged me.
Wow.
And I've gotten a lot better. And I haven't had any relapses since last January-ish, where I'm unsure. I don't know
Mhm.
if like a couple months ago I got a little sick, but I'm not gonna count that. I'm gonna say that was unrelated. um
It's a different strain,
Yeah.
different
Well, I mean,
virus.
I got tested for COVID. It wasn't COVID, so I was like, okay, like I hope this isn't just like my symptoms just coming back to haunt me. That'd be awful. But I think I just the air
Mhm.
quality here was really shitty because of the wildfires in California.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but I had that experience, and my dad got sick too. He was totally fine. He was like drinking whiskey on the couch and was like, I have a cold. And I was like,
Oh my
um,
God. Yeah.
but yeah, I just like after that experience and like just the idea that anyone I know could get sick, my grandma could get it and die, or like I could have
It's
died, or
scary.
it
Yeah.
is scary. And it's like also life changing in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. Um, so I think like
Yeah.
I get why people are hesitant. I get like there's a lot of like fear and a lot of like internalized trauma from just the medical system that we have.
Mhm.
But like the reason we don't have measles today is because of the vaccine. Like you don't have people running around being like, oh, just had a quick case of, I'm trying to think of another one, like another deadly
Like
disease.
smallpox or something.
Yeah, like, well, we don't have things like that. They're like really rare. And when they are, it's
Yeah.
because people are unvaccinated or, whatever. And I don't want to
Mhm.
get like too political because it is really it's an emotional thing for a lot of people. And I like, you know what I mean? Um, and I
Yeah.
understand the hesitation, but I also think, like you're not doing it for yourself. Like the government's not putting like a like chip
Like
in
a
you.
microchip in your
Yeah,
shoulder, like in
you have
everyone's.
one already. It's called your phone. You carry it around with you.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. There's like a lot of conspiracy theories that I'm like down to
There
talk about,
are.
but like that I'm not down to believe in.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I love that stuff. Like conspiracy theories, like not not in a way where I'm like invested in it, but I just love hearing them, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Me
It's just
too.
really interesting.
I think so too. I like love to sit back and just talk about conspiracy theories, but
And
I'm not
just
a
be like, all
conspiracy
right,
theorist. You know what I mean? Because it's such a good
like
brain
a passive
exercise.
viewer. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
or to
because you're
kind
like
of
detective, like you're just like, okay, like how did they come to this? Like, what is making the psychology of like why they think this is true and like their perspective. And then like why it's not true.
yes,
And there's
yes.
like
Yeah, and you kind of like you can kind of get into like, oh, like society is not real. Like we just make this all up. Like it's like we're in a sim game or whatever. Like you can kind of like be like, are
Mhm.
we just brains in a jar? Like maybe. And it's just kind of fun to like think about. Like maybe we are, maybe we aren't. Hard to
Yeah, like a
say.
simulation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. You're like the flat earth. Like that one was crazy. That one, I mean,
Yes,
is crazy.
it
But
is. I mean, people think the earth is round. What's that about?
come on, guys. It's just weird because I'm like, how do you explain like everything else? Like they think everything else is like fake, like because it's like all the other planets are like not round then. Like, how come we're the only planet that's flat? Or they think it's just the whole sky is like this fake like dome.
Yes, like the Truman Show.
And yeah,
I mean, it could be.
I don't, yeah, I've never
How
been
are
to
we to know?
Antarctica, so
How are we to know?
I've never been
That's
to
my
the
question.
ice shelf.
Right? We've only seen pictures, Ron. As far as
Yeah,
we
like
know.
mhm.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
moon landing
it's
could have been fake. Who knows? Maybe yes,
yeah.
maybe
I
no.
remember like there was this movie. I don't know if it was like Interstellar or like there was some movie. I think it was Interstellar where they had this like textbook and they're like, oh, like the moon landing was fake, and it was like in this textbook.
Was that
Like
Interstellar?
I
That
think it
movie
was
blew my
Interstellar.
mind.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because it was like in the future, but like a little like not too far in the future, where it
Oh,
was like a
wow.
known fact that like they were teaching people that like the moon landing was fake or something. It
Oh,
was really
wow.
interesting. Yeah,
That is
I
interesting.
think it was Interstellar.
Okay. I definitely watched that movie. Just blew my mind out of the water. I don't remember that detail, but
Mhm.
I believe you.
Yeah, I love that movie. I've been meaning to watch it
Yeah.
again because it's been a while. I only saw it like once when it like first came out. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a cool movie. Do you have any like favorite movies?
Favorite movies? I don't know. Uh, that's a hard one. I really like movies, I guess. But my favorite movie recently um is called A Hidden Life. Have you heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's like super indie. It's by the director Terrence Matt Terrence something. He did Days of Summer with I think Richard Gere, and he
Hmm.
Hidden Life is like all about this like Austrian farmer during World War II, and he's supposed to like pledge himself to this like Nazi army, and he like won't do it, so they like keep throwing him in all these prisons, and it's like
Oh
really good.
wow,
It's
that
so
sounds
it's
crazy. Like
but
just
the
different prisons.
yeah, and well, it's also like it's more about like humanity. It's like, to be honest, it's like 3 hours of like grass blowing in the wind. There's like a lot of cinematography, and it's all like nature
Hmm.
metaphor.
Hmm.
So it's pretty long, but I thought it was really beautiful. Um, I also like trash movies too. Like I just watched this Italian movie on Netflix called Out of My League, which was like some rom com, and she's like stalking
Okay.
this guy, and she has like some terminal illness. It was very good. I don't speak any Italian, but I really enjoyed it. They had a really good pin
Yeah,
drop. Do you like, you know what the pin drop is? Where like uh the music plays and it like kind of like does a montage of that person or like of a relationship. So they had like
I
some
know,
good
I've
pin
never heard
drops.
that term before.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just learned about it a couple months ago because I was watching the new Suicide Squad and I was
Okay.
really curious about like the critique on it. And I guess like they did a lot of pin drops in the newer version to like introduce like character emotion. And I thought that was really like a cool concept. And I was like, is pin drop music like my favorite music genre? Like, do I only like music that's like on Apple commercials and pin
Hmm.
drops in movies? Like, maybe. Ugh.
All right. I'm gonna look that up. I recently watched, have you seen the Stepford Wives, like the 2004 movie?
No.
It's so funny. You should watch that movie.
Okay.
It's really good. It's just like I won't explain too much of it, but it's like this family, like this husband and wife, like they live in this town in Connecticut and like all these wives. It's like the perfect like suburban
Oh,
town.
I think I've heard of this, and they're
And
all
like,
robots or something.
yeah, it's so funny.
Okay.
It's such a
Is it
good
like
movie.
satire
Yeah. It's
or like
yeah, a little bit.
okay.
It's sort of it is because it's so like unexpected and like this like it's something that would never happen. Like
Okay.
it's so out of the park or like it's not realistic at all. Like it is really funny. Like it is.
Okay.
I would say it's like satire.
Okay. I'll have to look at it or I'll have to watch it and I'll have to get back to you about it. I love a good
Yeah.
satirical film. I
Mhm,
think witty humor is the best. So I'll have to give you my review afterwards.
mhm. Yeah, it's a good one I watched recently.
Mm.
Um, I saw like Shang-Chi in theaters a few weeks ago. That was like pretty good.
Man, I haven't been to a movie in theaters in a really long time.
It's
Oh my,
cool.
it is cool.
I
I
feel
feel
like
like I live
now,
in a
like,
box.
yeah, it's funny because it's like you're just paying to go in like a bigger box that's like darker,
Yes. Like an air conditioned
a
box where you have
devoted
to
box.
like pay extra for the snacks.
Yeah,
But I'll have to go soon.
yeah, it's weird because it's not like it used to be. Like the theaters are like emptier now.
Huh.
Like it's interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, I've been
It's
curious
like
about
not
that.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I have let so many things I used to do just kind of like go after the pandemic
Mhm.
because I'm like, oh, I don't really like, do I want to go spend $15 on a movie? Because it just doesn't feel like worth it sometimes unless I have like a really good movie I
Mhm.
want to see or like a friend I want to go with. But like after like COVID hit and everything, all of the reasons not to go like went up, and I was like, huh, I can let movies go. That doesn't. It's not important. Not as
Yeah.
important as it once was.
I can drop this. Yeah.
Yeah, I can drop these four things.
Yeah. It's like you have like you're like on a ship that's like at sea and there's like you have to like throw some gold like over the edge to like keep going.
Yes.
You're just like I can get rid of
Yeah, I can get rid of this. I can get rid of this. Yeah, exactly.
it.
Oh, uh, I'm glad we're kind of
Yeah.
getting back to some sort of sense of normal, even though this kind of feels like the new normal, which I guess isn't great, but isn't bad either.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm like, what would it be? Because I feel like it's almost like how it was for me. Like I feel like maybe it's how it was before, but
Mm.
it's also like I can't tell if it's just because I'm getting older.
Yeah.
that I'm like more alone or like more of like a homebody, or if that's just because of COVID. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I feel like it's kind of a mixture, honestly, because like I think I don't know. I was like kind of seeking before I even really like knew what I was looking for when I came back. I was kind of looking for that sense of like stability in my life because it just felt like I just turned 28, so I like had just gone through my like first half of my 20s, which were just like a roller coaster of pain and emotion and embarrassment all mixed into one.
I feel that.
And
I feel that.
yeah, and I was like, I really just want like some consistency, some stability, like something like I want to be a part of the community I live in. I want to be near my family and my friends who are like my actual support system for all of the things in my life. Um,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
um, but also I'm still young. 28's not old. And I
Mhm.
still have all of those, like, I still want to go have fun. I want to experience things. I want to travel. But it's just like on a different scale, in um, a different way than it used to be. And I don't know if that is because of
Hmm.
the pandemic or because I'm old.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm like struggling because I've always wanted to travel. So I'm like sort of trying to like switch careers. Like I really want to get into like UX design. So I've been like studying that.
I love
Yeah.
that. I'm a big
Yeah,
fan
because
of
I was like,
UX.
oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, I thought about doing that too because I got my degree in anthropology, and a lot of anthropologists go
Oh,
into
really?
UX.
That's cool. Yeah. I was like, I want to get into tech. So I'm like, I want to do something remote. I want to do something where I could like live in other countries, like potentially, and it's like transferable.
Mhm.
Um,
Totally.
and I'm like, I like technology, so I'm like, maybe I could do that. And I like tried coding, and I just didn't like. I tried like software engineering, and it just felt like it didn't come naturally to me.
Yeah, I
Like I
feel
feel
like
like I'm more of like a visual person, so I feel like that would be better for me.
yeah, you want to do UX design and not like and let more so than research. So kind of designing like apps and things
Oh,
like
I
that.
don't know. I feel like I'd be better at research because I feel like I'm not really a designer, but I do because I studied theater in
Yeah.
college. So, but I think I'm a lot more interested into how people experience something than just how something looks. Like I think people are more interesting than just like designing something.
Yeah, no, I feel
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's what I'm so pulled to in UX too, is because it is user experience and it's
Hmm.
focused on the person. I could
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that for you. I feel like at the little I know about you, I feel like you are very like focused on connection with people
Hmm.
through your art and through the things that you do and the things that you create, which I think is really um, unique for artists. Not maybe not totally unique, but I think like you're very like forward with that piece of it. Because I know a lot of artists who are like, oh, I'm an artist. And you're like,
Okay.
okay. And it's almost like a barrier
Hmm.
um, to connecting.
Other
And I,
people.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like with you, I've always felt like you're like, oh, I'm connecting. And
Yeah.
this is the medium I'm using through like my art, my acting, comedy or whatever, this podcast, and
Exactly.
yeah, and I think like that is huge when you're doing like UX design or any sort of marketing. You have to have an understanding that you're selling to people, and kind of consider like what is it that they want more so than what I envision them wanting, right? Because I think like some
Yeah, because
artists are like,
it's
oh, this is my design, this is my, you know. take.
Yeah,
This
like
is
this is
my
my
style.
style. Like this is like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. I think like, yeah, that's more interesting to me. And like I also thought about recently, like I've like thought about this on and off for like a few years. I'm like, oh, maybe I should like become a therapist.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I should do that. And like that's sort of like something that I'm like considering too. But like in order to do that, I'd have to like get a master's degree. And I'm just like, really, I don't know if I want to do that right now. Like maybe later, but like I just have to think about it more. But I feel like it'd be
Yeah.
more fun and like better paying to do like a tech job to where I'm like more active and stuff like that. Like it just seems like it's like more flexible in terms of like that industry. Whereas like being a therapist, it would be like, okay, this is like you're doing this all the time, like the same thing all the time. And like your job is pretty much the same for like your whole life.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I come from a family of therapists, and I thought I
oh
wanted to be a
wow.
therapist when I was like I was between like I was like, do I want to be a fashion designer? Do I want to do psychology? Do I want to be like a, whatever. Um, and I ended up starting college doing psych, and it was cool. I really enjoyed it. I got to a point though that I was like, oh, this is really like, I know I felt kind of like caged in by it in a lot of ways because I didn't feel like there was a lot of movement, and I didn't feel like it, like the research itself really got to like the heart of all people. It was kind of like trying to like boil people down to their problems. It like at least it felt like that
Oh,
for me. And then I thought about having to like sit with another person's problems on a daily basis, and I'm just like too sensitive for that. I would be like,
okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Hmm.
um, but I think we can find like ways to have that sort of like helping people, connecting with people, figuring out like what's going on with them in different ways. Like I feel like I do that with my kids at school, kind of figuring out like what's going on, like, you know, what's the barrier to you learning this? Like, is it
Oh yeah.
social? Is it behavioral? Is it like something that's just going on in your brain that makes you read words in a different way? Are you,
Hmm.
maybe a little neurodivergent on some sort of scale? Like, let's figure it out together and let's find a way to cope. And it feels similar to um, kind of like understanding that like human aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you ever feel like a huge responsibility for to figure that out, like when you're working with someone?
No, no. I think maybe like the first year I felt that way a little bit, but I also like understand like they're kids. Like they have their whole
Mhm.
lives to think they figured out who they are, scrap it, make a secret Twitter account, and then like move across the country.
Move, yeah.
Yeah. Like I think I don't think I have like feel like I feel like I have a responsibility to show up for them as they are now and try to help them communicate who they are and kind of like what they want and what they need.
Mhm.
Um, but like figuring it all out for them, like that's gonna be like a lifelong thing that so many people are gonna like take on. And I also realize I'm not the only person doing it. Like they have parents, they have teachers at school, they have like
Everyone
we have
else
this
in their
whole
life.
team of people that are trying to help a lot of these kids. Um,
Hmm.
and like it literally does take like a village. It takes like a whole community to kind of raise somebody. So I don't think
Wow,
it's
yeah.
like, or like, I feel like that responsibility is more like I just have responsibility to be a good person, to be like a good human to you, and try to be honest and try
Yeah,
to teach you to like figure yourself out, you know.
yeah. That's cool that you don't feel pressured because I feel like if I were in that situation, I would like emphasize like my own importance in like that village. I'd be like, oh, if I don't do a good job, like then they're gonna like not do well. And like I feel like I would like obsess over
Yeah, I feel, yeah, okay, so that is real. I definitely have put that kind of pressure on myself, like to do a really good job and to like show up every day, even when I'm not feeling it. But I've also learned that like I can model to them how a bad day can go. So if they say like, oh, I'm really tired, sometimes I'll be like, I'm really tired too. Like I didn't sleep very well last night, but
that.
like, let's work through it or whatever. Because like I don't want them to think that like I'm perfect, because that's not human. That's not real, and
That's
I
true,
think
yeah. Because then they'll feel
I
pressure to like live up to that.
yes, and I feel like I um had a lot of that pressure growing up. And I think that's
Mhm.
why, you know, it took me such a long time to allow myself to like take a leap into like kind of a career change or into something that felt like I had no business doing it. Like I showed up for this like tutoring position and being like, I have no experience, zero. And like
Mhm.
I felt that like surge of imposter syndrome, but like up to that point, I was like, I have done everything else in my life. Maybe not everything, but like, adjusting my expectations and kind of like trying to do the right thing, like, go to college,
Yeah.
get a degree, get a job, get the, salary, get the, apartment, get the boyfriend, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It worked out, but it wasn't fulfilling and it didn't, you know, it wasn't real. It was perfect, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I've always been different. Like I've always been like, oh, like I remember like when I was in high school, I was like, oh, I want to be famous. Like I want to be a singer. I want to be an actor. Like I was always that type of kid where it's like I didn't get why people wanted to just do like a normal job. Like I just didn't want to.
Are you a
But
Leo?
then like I no, I'm an Aquarius.
Oh, okay. Okay. Continue.
Yeah. But then like I had to get a job.
Yes.
And then I was like growing up and I was like, okay, like I feel like I'm a creative person, but I need to support myself and I need to figure out how to do that. And like I feel like if people were more honest to me about like what it takes to be like a successful adult, like I feel like I would have like done something more practical, but like but that would have even made me like more creative because I felt like if I had done something more practical, I would have made more money and I would like put that money like into like my creative thing
Mm.
instead of like struggling. Cause like I guess like for me it's like I feel like I thought that it didn't matter. Like I was like money doesn't matter. Like that was like what I thought when I grew up. And like maybe that was like the messages or like I didn't get that. And it was like follow the whole like follow your passion thing. Like that was like
Yeah.
basically like what I was taught like by like my school, like by my parents. Like they're always like really relaxed and they were never like you have to go to college or like you have to like study, whatever. They weren't like trying to force me to do anything. So I had to like come up with stuff myself and like I guess I had to learn things like the hard way, I guess, like
Hmm.
just through living on my own and being like just struggling like through like being an immature like 20-year-old and like figuring that out and like having like leaving friends who like were bad for me and like that was like a whole process and then like living on my own was like a whole process and then like trying to like get my career to like a good place was like a whole process and also
Yeah.
like figuring out my creativity but like I guess like the one thing that I did wish was like I wish I gave myself more support when I was younger in my creative stuff. Like I wish I tried harder creatively, and I wish I didn't care so much like what other people thought of me, because I cared like way too much what other people thought of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. I feel that because I feel like we have probably had maybe similar-ish experiences where like, at least my parents were very like follow your passion, but not like very disciplined about it. Not like you have to do
Mhm.
this and continue at it and work at it and XYZ.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, and I like I think I resented that for a little bit because I really like things that I loved when I was a kid. Like I really loved dance. I loved ballet, I loved cheerleading. I was like, oh my God, this is like everything I've ever wanted to do. And my mom was very much like, you're not gonna do that. Like she was like not into me doing those things. And so she never really supported me in it. And if there was like a natural end to it, she's like, oh, you don't need to sign up again. We're not gonna do this.
Oh, I
And if
see.
and then also like, being a kid when you're young, you're like, oh, I don't really want to go to practice today because I just want to like roll around in the grass or whatever it is. Because you're
Mhm.
like, the third grade. And, not having that support and that discipline or like to continue your art or to do
Yeah.
something, I think like believing that like there is some internal drive, like some people really do have some just kind of like focus and like an internal drive to just do the same thing for a really long time, and I have never
Mhm.
had that. I've just really loved everything. um
Me too. Yeah.
and I used to kind of feel like down on myself about that. I was like, gosh, like because I switched my major in college like 4 times. I dropped out. I became a yoga teacher.
Mhm.
I went to community college for a little bit, got a small business management certificate, went back to school, didn't do anything with my degree. Like I do all these things and I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like, what is this mosaic that is supposed to be my life?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like
But
that too. Yeah.
yeah, but I do think like it's not like that is life actually. Like it's never perfect. Like we look at like influencers and famous people and are like, man, they've been working hard for, all their lives. And yeah, maybe, but they've also had like a lot, like most famous people have had like a lot of money and a lot of publicists and a lot of people like just like
And their parents were
molding.
like connected.
Yes, and like molding this
Yeah.
person before they were even born. Like my kid's gonna be
Before they could
famous.
even like contemplate like career moves.
Yes, like I think about Disney
Yeah.
kids, like Miley Cyrus
Hmm.
and Demi Lovato and I Selena Gomez, like all of those poor, poor children who were like fed into this like really awful
The
bloodline.
Disney factory.
Yes. I think about it all the time. It's like one of my favorite like conspiracy theories. It's like less of a conspiracy theory, it's just true. Um, like they had this life kind of like figured out for them. And then we look at them now, like Miley Cyrus has like, I'm sure, like I don't even know what her net worth is, but
Yeah.
we're like, oh yeah, she works so hard. It's like maybe. I mean, she did. There's no doubt she's talented.
Maybe.
She's beautiful, but
Yeah.
um,
But it's like she's not waking up every day. I mean, I don't know, but like she's not the
right.
only
She's a
one who's like
human.
pushing herself. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, like, I think kind of get back to like the original point of that. It's just like, I think like we can't get like too caught up in how we're presenting to other people, and I think this is why you should have a secret Twitter, Ron. Make a secret Twitter account. That's why I made it. There was like, it was like this invisible block of realizing that like I like was like doing things for other people, even when I didn't know I was doing it,
That's
you
true.
know?
That's crazy. I wonder what I'm gonna post.
Yeah, you could do anything. You could post whatever you wanted. I mean, you can do it now too. I mean, I feel like you do such a good job at like on your own Twitter. Like I really I that's why we became friends. I was like, Ron's cool. Like because like you
Yeah.
like put up your music and you
Mhm.
like talk about your acting, you put these shows together, you're doing this podcast. Like I come up with projects on probably a weekly basis that never see the daylight ever because I just am like, I don't want that enough, or I'm not good
Mhm.
enough to do that, or I don't have the skills for that. Um, so sometimes I
I
just
mean,
don't do it.
that is something that you're coming up with projects on a weekly basis. Like that is cool. Like I don't come up with projects on a weekly basis. I feel like I'm just continuing the stuff that I've always wanted to do, but like sometimes I feel like it lacks like originality or it lacks like I don't know.
Stop that. Because like stop that. I think like okay, I might be coming up with projects, but they're just lists. They're just lists. I literally like when I die, people are gonna be like, she wrote a lot of lists. Like she wrote a lot. Like, what are these
Like they're gonna
notebooks
pull them
full
up
of?
like on the iPad, like when you like at your funeral, they're gonna like
Yes.
pull it up on like a screen. It's like a big screen.
They're gonna like upload my sim to a satellite and be like, this one was really into notebooks. Like because like, I think what's really cool that like, you know, even if you are just like continuing to do the same projects, that is that consistency that you were hoping for, that you had, that you wished you had, when you were growing up. You're like, oh, I wish I
Mhm.
did acting more. I wish I focused on it more. You're doing it now. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so my 40-year-old self won't get mad at
Yes.
my
That's
30-year-old
what we
self.
should all be motivated by, I think. Making
Yeah.
sure our 40-year-old self doesn't like lash out and like, you know, like
Like into the past. Like
murder our like our significant others and or like buy a really like flashy scary motorcycle. Like those are the two things we must avoid at all costs, so we have to like really um invest in
yeah,
the
like
now.
yeah. That's crazy. What's up with people buying like it took me a while when I first heard like the midlife crisis thing and like buying like a Corvette or like whatever they buy. Like how like what does that have to do with like a midlife crisis? Is it just because they want to feel like young or they want to do something
Yes.
reckless? Is that like
Yeah.
basically it?
I
So they're
think
like, I'm gonna
okay,
buy a
like I'm gonna get
motorcycle.
in so much trouble. My dad is in he's he's 66. And sometimes he
Mhm.
says stuff where I'm like, is this it? Is this
What do
your
you
like moment you're having? Um, but I think it is. I think it's like connected to youth. Like, because we idolize
Mhm.
youth in society a lot. And I
Oh,
think,
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like it's kind of gross the way we do. Like, I think being old is beautiful. I think like getting old and like looking back on like a lifetime and having wisdom is actually like really sexy,
Yeah.
but we
Mhm.
don't really think of it like that, I don't think.
We're
And
just like
I
that's gross. Like
yeah, and I think if you like become a cog in society's machine, which I think is silly because like we are society sometimes, um
mhm.
and you aren't authentic or true to yourself, you wake up when you're 50 and you're like, oh man, I never uh, admitted
Yeah,
that I
and then it's
really
like
love this
harder
life.
to do that stuff because you're like older.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you think
Yeah.
it's harder and you're like, I can't do it
Oh,
because I'm that
maybe.
young. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because it's like those stories that you hear. It's like, oh, people marry someone, but then they're afraid to like get divorced, or like they they haven't expressed themselves, and then like at 50 or whatever, they're like, oh, I can't take it anymore, like something like that. Like,
Yeah, or they're
yeah,
like, this
it's
is my
crazy.
last chance. And so they like try to like revive their youth somehow, you know?
Yeah, it's like a missed opportunity thing where
Yeah.
they just didn't do something. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird. Like, I work in Beverly Hills, and like it's
Ooh.
very visual. Like, a lot of people have like, you just regularly see like women with like plastic surgery. Like, everyone is like stunting. Like, everyone has like Lamborghinis. Like, people have like just clothes that are just so obnoxious, and like everyone's taking pictures, and like it's so visual, and like it looks so corny to me because it's like these people like think that they look cool, but like to me they look so funny because like they're
Yeah.
trying so hard to like hold on to like their youth,
Yeah.
and it just looks so funny to me. I don't know, it's like
Yeah.
not authentic.
Yeah. And it's like kind of like they're holding on to like an ego too, because like that is
Hmm.
so much like a show. You know what I mean? It is like, it is so other people can look at it, but like to you, you are looking at it and you're like, no, like girl, stop. But like
Yeah.
to them, the people that they think are watching them are like amazed. Like they think that their audience is like they're on the fucking red carpet. They think like walking
Yeah.
down in Beverly Hills, they're like, wow, people must think I look amazing now that I have plastic surgery and this Louis Vuitton like crop top and like
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a cult. It's like a sphere. It's like a culture.
yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
Did you
And
ever
I feel
feel
weird
go ahead?
because I don't want to be, I'm not going to be in, because you know how like the things that you spend time around like this sort of like leak their way into your life. And like, I don't want that to happen to me. So
Yes.
yeah, I don't think it will happen to me, but like just knowing myself, but like it's sometimes I'm like, oh, like do I'll like see someone with like really nice, expensive shoes just because I like fashion too. Like, I'm really into clothes and
Yeah.
stuff. And like sometimes I'll see that I'm like, that's cool. Like, what if I had that? And I'm just like, no. I like slap myself on the wrist. I'm like, I don't need to spend $400 on shoes. Like,
Yeah. I know. I was gonna say, I was like, did you ever feel like when you were working at the Real Real, like that you were experiencing
yeah,
that
all these
like from the other
clothes.
side? You were like selling these things to those people and being like, what?
Hmm. You saw
Yeah.
like the names, like they have like celebrity, like the names of like the people who like, yeah, that's really cool. That was really interesting when you see
Yeah.
those like names of like the clients or whatever you call them that like
Yeah,
trade
yeah. I
clothes.
know that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. But it also like it kind of like I don't know if it like demystified it for me or something, but I was like I was like, oh, Kylie Jenner, like whoop de doo, like have to clean her like spray tan off of this shirt now or whatever.
Yeah, because it's like not in good. It's like good, very good, excellent, pristine. Like, all
Oh,
right, this has like a spray tan, like marking it down to like very good.
yeah, it's only $300 now. I know. I really just like I don't know. I just thought it was that whole world, like the fashion world, just really
Mhm.
still like it makes my head spin. I think it's incredible. I think it's like incredibly powerful. Like
Yeah.
because like people, I don't know how you feel about it, but I've always felt that like in the fashion world, like people wear clothes and like use clothing as like armor almost for their egos or for themselves, like against kind of like the world sometimes. Like, um,
Hmm.
because I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of trying to think of the right word, like personalities in fashion. Like you meet a lot of people who have like loud um
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
personas, of themselves. And I think it's amazing. I'm like so about it and I'm like kind of in it and part of it as well. So it's fine. But
Mhm.
but I'm like, there's a lot underneath the the mask and a lot
There
underneath,
is.
you
There
know?
is, yeah.
And I'm always like curious. I'm like, is that like, are you into fashion because it like provides like extra padding from the world, like from your sweet little vulnerable
Mhm.
self? Like, does it provide you
Oh my
this like safety net?
god.
You know what I mean? Are you like having a moment where you're like, is that me?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about because of like working in fashion and stuff. Like I know the people that you're talking about. And like I had a hard time fitting in that company because I wasn't like that. Because I'm just so chill and I'm like down to earth. Like that was a challenge for me to like fit in and like be about and just like the culture of being like super into everything and just being like all about this stuff. Like it was hard for me to fit in because it's very, I'm not going to say it's like female dominated, but it's like very fem, and that was an adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt similarly, but I also got to know so many amazing down to earth people. And it was incredible. It was
Mhm.
like I was meeting all of these artists and all of these like incredible, like soulful humans who were also having trouble fitting in to this like
I see.
world, you know? And it's
Yeah.
funny that you say it's like so feminine because I felt it was like the structure was super masculine. It was very like production oriented and very like, kind of
Oh,
like
for
go,
sure.
go, go.
Yeah.
But then like and also like knowing so much about every brand and about every fashion show and about all this stuff like felt very masculine as well because it was like you have to like know it, you know what I mean? And it was like it took
Mm,
away a lot of like the intuitive knowledge that I hadn't learned about fashion up to that
for
point, or
sure.
didn't take away from it, but it kind of like overshadowed it. Like it was like knowing the label was, I don't know, like over like just like overpowered like knowing like quality garments or like
I see.
understanding like how things are made. Um, so
So it's
it was
like
just
putting a number on everything, like saying like this
yeah.
this means like this means this. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
But I totally get what you mean about like not fitting it because I felt that way sometimes too. I felt that way I think also because I was like from the Midwest and I was coming to a company that was like
Oh, for
selling
sure.
to
Yeah.
LA, you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
um, and I was like, oh, cool. I feel like a country bumpkin in this in this
Yeah.
giant warehouse of people.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, because I was born in New York, um, and then I grew up like in the suburb. It's like White Plains, like a suburb of like New York City,
Okay.
and I lived there till I was like 8 years old, and then when I was eight, like my family moved to Tucson, Arizona. So I went to like middle school, high school in like Tucson, like Arizona, and then when I was like 20, I moved to like San Diego, and then I was going to like community college in San Diego, and then when I was like 25, I transferred to like SF State, and then I was there for like 3 years, and like now I'm here. So that was like my path of like living in different places. So I feel like I'm very, I guess, like well rounded in a sense because I've lived like in pretty different environment throughout my life,
Yeah.
which I like because like I like to see different cultures, and like I get bored of like places sometimes. I'm like, okay, I want to
I
like
get
try
that.
something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like Do you feel like you have like one place is your home? Like, do you feel like connected to one place more than the other? Or do you kind of feel like the world is your home?
I feel like the world is my home.
Mm,
I really do. I don't feel connected to one place.
okay.
Because my family has moved around a lot. So it's like I
Mm,
don't have a hometown that I can go back to because like where I grew up, like my family doesn't live there anymore.
yeah, I get that.
You know, so I sort of feel like the world is my home and like even I mean, I'm living here in LA, but like I don't know if this will be it. Like I have a feeling I'm probably gonna maybe try somewhere else, but for now, like this is where I feel comfortable. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's no reason to, you know, do one way or the other until you feel like you need to. But I think that's interesting for sure.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
grew up like traveling a lot, but I haven't lived anywhere for very long other than here.
Oh, I
And
see.
yeah, and so I've been a lot of places, but never for more than like a couple weeks at a time.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Okay.
eh, and I mean, I love getting the feel for a place and getting like kind of like uh reinvigorated by seeing something I've never seen before or meeting new people.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I used to feel like, oh, I have to leave in order to like live a full life. I have to live somewhere else. But
Mm.
I just
Mhm.
love it here so much. I swear you have to Denver, you be one of the LA people that comes out to Denver. I swear you'll love it. It's
When I get that remote job.
yes, when you get that remote job doing UX, perfect. um and it's just something about like the mountains and the air and the like I just feel like I'm like planted here. I just feel like I don't feel like
Hmm.
myself when
That's
when I'm
so
not
cool.
here. It's so crazy.
That is crazy. I wonder, I'm just so curious about it now. It's like,
Yeah.
if you feel that way, like, how would I
I know, but we'll both never know. Because like I think you have that travel bug itch. You have that
I do.
desire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like I was talking to someone over the holidays. I can't remember who. Um, and they were talking about, I was trying to remember who it was, but they were talking about like they wanted to live in on a beach one day. They were like, this is my dream. And I was like, oh, that's
Mhm.
cool. Like it's not really for me, but like I really love the beach. I'd love to go visit the beach.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're just a beach person. Like that is like their calling. Like you're a traveling person. Like you have to travel. Like I am a weird mountain girl. Like I love the mountains so much. And I just
Mhm.
feel like at home here. Like I literally think like, oh, one day I could maybe move to like Alaska or
Oh,
like
wow. Okay.
like, but I just really like that kind of like, or like Argentina, like just like that mountain
Mm.
town, cold, small. I just love that feeling. It just makes me feel like myself.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, it reminds me of like you're wrapping yourself in like a blanket
Yes.
of that or something. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's exactly how it feels though. It kind of, but it also kind of feels like my skin. Like it just feels like so natural to me. I'm just like, oh, this is just me. Like, don't you know?
Mhm. Cool.
Yeah.
Is there, yeah, is there anything else? Because I think we're probably gonna wind down soon.
Yeah, I probably
Um,
should get going.
yeah. Is there anything else you want to tell people, the audience?
Oh, the audience. Oh, yes, our
Yeah,
listeners.
yeah.
No, not really. I mean, you can follow me on Twitter if you want, but you don't have to. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But listen to the Brain Dump podcast and listen to Ron's music when it's, you know.
Yeah, listen to my music, guys. You're already listening to the podcast. So
That's true. Oh,
thanks
yes.
for
Listen
listening.
to every
Yeah.
episode. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Take a day.
Yeah. I can't believe that you listened to all of them.
It
Like
wasn't hard. I literally was just like, I got my flu shot this weekend. So and vaccines just like knock me on my ass for some reason. So I was
mhm.
like in bed and I was like, listen, I'm just gonna like get on Procreate and Doodle and listen to every episode of Brain Dump and we'll see where it goes. It was
Yeah,
great.
it's
10 out
just
of 10.
yeah, nice. It's just crazy for me because it's like that's like a year of work that you conquered
It's
in
like
like a
in the age of Netflix, could you blame me?
yeah, yeah. You can just go through anything like so
Yeah, I
fast.
really like to deep dive on almost everything and anything just to like get to the bottom of it. And I'm like, and I never am satisfied. It's terrible. It's like I will like go into like a Googling hole for like 3 hours and be
It's
like,
like
I should go to
not
bed.
deep enough.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what? Like, I need more information. And then the next day, I'm like, ugh, it's boring. Or like, like I'll just find something else, or like, I'll have to do research,
Mhm.
like, and do like hardcore research, and it becomes a list, it becomes a project. That never happens.
Oh, okay, dang. That's how the products are
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Most of the time I'm like, ooh, this is a really cool idea. And then I get like really into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if this was like a thing?
Yeah.
And then
I have this thing
sometimes
where I have this thing where I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I need a coach. And I'll like try to find someone to like coach me through doing something. I feel like I want to do that with everything. I know I don't need a coach, but I'm always like, oh, it would be cool to have a coach, like
Yeah.
to be held accountable. I don't
Yeah.
know, but like,
I feel that way. I've done that before with
yeah,
like school. Like I'm like, ooh, I need to be certified in this, or I have to like take a class in this. And I think taking classes, big fan. But I also am like, I have so many like little pieces of paper that say I'm certified to do all of this stuff. And I I'm not really, I don't think it was necessary.
and it's like, do I even remember what I did?
I mean, I remember very deeply what I did, but am I using it? Like, am I using it in my business? Is some like policeman knocking down my door and being like, I need to see your certificate, ma'am. I
Certification.
need to see that you're
Mhm.
qualified. Like, no one
No one
cares.
has ever done that.
No.
But like when you're a kid, you're like, they're gonna not like the teachers are
They're
like, they're
gonna,
gonna
well,
ask. Like,
we're in the US.
what do you mean? What do you mean?
It's another time, another podcast. Maybe we can do a
Okay.
conspiracy theory chat one day.
Yeah, we can do a different one. Yeah, we can do another one because I'm planning on like having like some return guests like in the future. So
Perfect.
yeah, who knows? Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to us talk. I hope this was very enlightening for you guys. And thanks, Tyler, for joining. And it was
Anytime.
really awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. It was really wonderful. All
Yeah.
right. So, gonna sign off. All right. Bye, guys.